Welcome to Living Not So Fabulously. Where can I retire that is affordable and where I'll be completely accepted as an LGBTQ person? This is a common question that we get, and today's guest is the perfect person to answer that.
Mark Goldstein didn't just retire, he started a movement. After realizing that Florida wasn't quite the paradise he and his husband Peter had imagined, Mark launched the Where Do Gays Retire Facebook group that is a global community of over 15,000 members and growing. Now the host of Where Do Gays Retire podcast, Mark is helping LGBTQ plus folks worldwide navigate the tricky terrain of retirement with insight, humor, and a whole lot of heart.
Welcome to the show, Mark.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Great to see you again.
Yeah, we're super excited to have you have this great discussion. We want to start this off by understanding a little bit about your story. So maybe you could tell us a little bit about your decision to leave New York City and start your retirement journey and how you prepared for that financially.
Yeah, sure. So in 2014, I was working at a high stress job for one of the biggest financial firms in New York City on Wall Street. Needless to say, I said to my husband, well, we could stick around and try to make this until we're retired, age 65 at least, or we can find a place where we could afford, and let's do it now. Let's start the adventure. So that's what we did. And I did a lot of research, and we wound up choosing a place in the Tampa Bay area. And to prepare for that, actually, we were at the time living in the New York City area in Connecticut, and we owned a condo. We had a mortgage on it. And we actually were doing our best to make extra payments on our mortgage every month. We would put an extra $1,000, $1,500 per month for quite a few years. So that kind of set us up, financially in a good place. So we were able to sell the condo, and with the equity that we had in the condo, we were able to purchase something in the Tampa Bay area for cash. So it was
Nice.
a pretty good win-win for us. So we were pretty happy.
That sounds it sounds like a great plan because you're socking that money away in a way that you will definitely be able to use it since you knew you were moving. How were you feeling? How are you and Peter feeling about this preparing for this big life change?
Well, we were both excited and nervous as hell. It's like I lived in New York. I lived in New York all of my life. I'm a Brooklyn boy. Peter lived upstate New York, and that's all we knew was New York. So we were excited to go to a new place. It was a new adventure, yet we were kind of nervous. So like, what's it going to be like there? And I did so much research on where to go. And we just wound up after the research with our priorities, of course, was cost of living. We wanted to make sure that we would be okay financially if we didn't have to work. So
Nice.
So, of all the options in the whole entire world, why exactly Florida?
Okay. So from a New Yorker perspective, all the Jewish New Yorkers go from New York City down to Fort Lauderdale. And Fort Lauderdale, unfortunately, was a little too expensive out of our price range. So we researched other places within Florida, and we came up with Tampa Bay area. Unfortunately for us, we chose a place that was up and coming. But yet it was a beautiful place, brand new place, new house, new build. And it just so happened that money isn't everything. So we kind of discovered that community is also important, and our friends were in Fort Lauderdale, I'm sorry, in St. Pete or in Tampa. And it actually took us 30 to 50 minutes to travel every weekend. We'd go out, for dinner, drinks. It gets tiring after a while. So we weren't really in the right place. And we settled in a place called Apollo Beach, Florida. It was a great community, but, we were like the token gay people.
Mm.
Mm.
So,
How'd that make you feel?
yeah, yeah, we felt awkward. It's not that
Mhm.
they weren't accepting, it's just we weren't in the right place because we weren't amongst, the like-minded people that, the gay community. There was no gay community. It was all heterosexual, young couples with kids. Nothing wrong with that, but
Mhm.
we wanted our peeps.
Right. That totally makes sense. How quickly did it take for you to recognize that? And we know, maybe you could share with the audience here, how quickly did it take for you to decide that maybe Florida wasn't the right decision?
Well, funny story is we were traveling for the first time with the dogs and our luggage from New York in the car, because previously we would fly. And we're on I-75 headed towards Tampa. We see the sign Tampa, and then we see this huge Confederate flag hovering over the highway. And we both look at each other and say to each other, are we doing the right thing? So at that moment, it kind of like raised awareness. I kid around with my husband, Peter. I say, oh, you were ready to move out of there after the first week. And he's like, no, 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 no. It was the first month. so, so from there, I said, honey, we have to give it some time, we give it a chance. We gave it 4 years. So, that was a good time to spend and figure out what we wanted to do.
What was that planning process like? When you realized that maybe this wasn't the right place, what did you start to do when you I mean, it sounds to me like you did a lot of planning to get to Florida, and now you're starting
I
this
did.
process all over again?
I did. And as soon as he said that, I was like, oh my God, where do gays retire? It really just came up in my life. It's like, hey, that's a good name for a Facebook group. If I can't answer the question and I did so much research, maybe other people can and come together as a community. So that's when Where Do Gays Retire Facebook group was born.
Gotcha.
And
And
put that
were there any political or financial factors at play in that decision for you to say, "Okay, this isn't the right spot?"
financial, yeah, because every time one picks themselves up and sells, it's costly. You might
R
not think about it, but you're paying realtors, you're paying closing costs, you're paying moving costs. It
Mhm.
all, takes away from your net, wealth. So
Right.
that is a factor. And politically at the time, it wasn't as bad as it had grown. Um, with the current governor of Florida,
Mhm.
but it was still a factor
Mm.
in our thinking. So the opportunity came along, and for my 60th birthday, we took a vacation to Albuquerque, New Mexico. And
Oh,
I always
nice.
wanted to stop in Phoenix and see what it was like. And my husband Peter was like in Phoenix years ago, maybe 30 years. He's like, why do you want to go to
Ooh.
Phoenix for? It's like, I just want to check it out. We have a couple of friends there, and what's the harm? We're in the neighborhood,
Right.
we weren't too
Right.
far. So we did a little side trip into Phoenix, and that's how the Phoenix move came about. We did know some people there that kind of took us under their wing and embraced us and introduced us to the LGBTQ community. And so when we moved there, we had instant social, company. So
Nice. Yeah. So it sounds like there were a number of factors that helped you make the decision to go from Florida to Phoenix. Is it fair to say that that you were still on this search for the perfect place for you and Peter?
Yeah, I mean, after Florida, I thought Florida would be the perfect place, but you know what? There is no perfect place. And
Right.
it all depends upon what you're looking for and what your priorities are.
Yeah.
So
I
people have different priorities.
I do think that that's an important thing to remember, and that there is no 100% perfect place for everybody. So, Mark, hold that thought. We'll be right back after a quick break. Welcome back to Living Not So Fabulously and our interview with Mark Goldstein. So, Mark, where are you now in your retirement journey? Because I know personally, because we know each other, that there's some other changes happening.
So I finally retired from work from a corporate job a few months ago. And
Congratulations.
now thank you. And now I'm just doing, my podcast and doing things that I enjoy, and traveling, and have another project in the works, doing, podcasting and doing what I enjoy. So now, as far as the search continues, um, I am continuing actually. So we're contemplating. So right now, our place in Phoenix is on the market for sale, and we're going back to Four Seasons because
Four
no place
Seasons,
is
not the hotel, right?
no. So no place is perfect, but we're kind of tired of the extreme weather in the summer. So
Mhm.
our plan is to go back to Four Seasons and move to Colorado. So our next destination is Fort Collins, Colorado.
Your quest for finding the perfect place to retire reminds me of a lot of our gay friends who are looking for the perfect husband. Sorry to interject.
That's fine.
So you started this Facebook group, I think when you were in Florida, this Facebook group called Where Do Gays Retire. So why did you start that? And over the years, what have you learned from folks that are a part of the group, and maybe some of the struggles and things that they're celebrating right now?
So I started the group because I really wanted to know, where do gays retire? If it's not Florida, or, where is it? So actually, it was great because people, learn from one another. There's so many
Mhm.
people that have different opinions. Not everybody gets along with those opinions, but they,
Shocker.
right, they offer different places that you would never think about. And it kind of opens up your mind. Like, the United States may not be the only place you can retire fabulously, you know?
Mhm.
Mhm.
Um, there are many other countries that are gay friendly, that are LGBTQ friendly, that one could move to. Who would think that? I know a couple that I interviewed from Scottsdale, Arizona, that moved to Uruguay.
Mm.
Who would think? I would
That's one of
never
my
think in a
favorite
million
episodes of
years.
your podcast.
Yeah, thank you. I would never think in a million years, Uruguay or Saugatuck, Michigan, or Ajijic, Mexico. Ajijic is now become like this gay place to retire. Um,
Mm.
one of their one of their people, Steve Cross, who I'm friends with virtually. um,
Nice.
yeah, he's built that community up, and they have like dinners every month, and they get 100 people. They had to open up another gay bar because of the gay community expanded. So
Oh,
I would
nice.
never think of these places if not for the group, you know?
Yeah.
So you probably already answered this question. What's the most unique recommendation you've gotten, and what's the most common or most popular destination?
So unique would be Uruguay. That is, to me, is like, it's a long trip, but then also there's Thailand. So Thailand, Bangkok, I just did a episode on Bangkok. I've done one on Pattaya, and they just legalized same-sex marriage. So that's another pretty neat destination.
For
If not
sure.
to retire, I would love to just visit these places.
Right. Do you think that LGBTQ folks have different challenges or different options when it comes to retirement and where we decide to retire?
Sure, everybody is different. There are people that have to retire in place because, unfortunately, that's their choice. They don't have financially, they can't do it, so they have to retire in place. We do have challenges. We have discrimination going on, and in healthcare, when you age, you don't want to go back into the closet. We also have disadvantages where a lot of LGBTQ people don't have siblings, so they're on their own and they're lonely.
Mhm.
So I'm trying to build community at the same time to fill that void as well.
Nice.
So
Yeah.
there are a lot of challenges that we have that people might not understand,
Yeah.
and
I think that
we should educate them.
Yeah, I think that geopolitically, what we see going on, especially here in the United States, more and more people in the community are feeling unsafe in certain places, certain cities, certain states, and we see this move to try to dismantle same-sex marriage, and that puts a lot of fear into a lot of people as to where they may end up living, right? If you're a same-sex couple and today you have the ability to transfer that wealth if you pass away to your spouse and that changes, then that adds a whole different layer to the way you make decisions about how you retire because your spouse could end up literally paying hundreds of thousands of dollars in taxes that opposite sex couples, traditional marriages won't have to face.
Yeah, I try to kind of put that out of my mind, but it's a reality. And I just did an episode on same-sex marriage as well, um, with Evan Wilson, who was instrumental in bringing same-sex marriage to the Supreme Court. Um, his takeaway was, let's not wallow in something that hasn't happened yet. Let's take care of what's going on now.
Mm.
So the thing is, I myself, just as an individual, feel more comfortable being in a blue state than I do in a
Mhm.
red state, um,
Yeah.
because the blue state is going to protect my rights as a LGBTQ person. They're going to protect my marriage rights.
Mhm.
So, whereas in the red state, I mean, if this happens and it goes back to the Supreme Court and it goes back to the states, then hopefully your marriage will still be intact because of the laws that President Biden put through, Respect for
Respect for
Marriage
Marriage
Act.
Act.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, definitely. So
So,
with all of this in mind, Mark, what is one piece of advice that you would give for LGBTQ folks who are either decades away from or months away from retiring?
well, decades away, save as much money as you can. Put, you know, put as much money as you can into your 401k or IRA. I
Mhm.
would do it personally. I would, we didn't have Roth when I was growing up. and then it came into being. But I don't have a Roth myself. But if I started now, I would start a Roth 401k or IRA and sock away
Yeah,
as much money as possible, because you'll need it in when you retire, and you'll be surprised how much you'll have after
definitely.
that.
Yeah.
Um,
So
n-
I think
now,
whether sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say now, it's never too late even to start saving. So even though, let's say I started my job here in Arizona and Phoenix 5 years ago, I still put money away into my 401k. So it's really never too late to start. And during that time, and it's a small period of time, I did build up some little nest egg that comes in handy.
Yeah, I think that's a smart recommendation, Mark, to consider strategically using a Roth IRA.
Yeah.
I think for so many of us, it's all about 401k, 401k, 401k. Do you mind sharing with our audience a little bit why maybe also including a Roth IRA in your strategy makes sense?
Sure. So when you're younger, you want to pay your taxes up front and put away as much as you can, so you don't have to pay taxes when you retire, and the tax rate's going to be even higher. So
Yeah.
I think a Roth is a great way to start investing. Either a Roth, now these days they have Roth 401ks. So
Def
either a Roth 401k or a Roth IRA would be a great way to get your retirement savings started.
So whether you're LGBTQ or not, don't leave your retirement planning till the last minute or up to chance.
Yeah, so I would add, I think, so many people have reached out to us and have told us that their retirement strategy is to die before retirement happens. I think we need to stop using that as a retirement strategy because that doesn't happen as often as we think it might happen,
Yeah.
especially not now that we've come out of the HIV AIDS crisis. So stop thinking about that fatalistic approach to your retirement planning and just start planning whether you're 25 or whether you're 50, just start, like Mark said, start socking stuff away.
Exactly. So
Absolutely.
thank you for joining us, Mark. And thank you for tuning in.
You're
Catch
welcome.
new episodes of Living Not So Fabulously every Wednesday at noon Eastern on yahoofinance.com, YouTube, or wherever you binge your favorite podcasts.
And remember to like, subscribe where available, and set those notifications because it might help you retire fabulously, even if Social Security gets doged. Until next time, stay fabulous.
This content was not intended to be financial advice and should not be used as a substitute for professional financial services.